Welcome to the Sandler Training Hour. You're with your hosts, Jim and Jason Stevens. And Jim, this week I thought it'd be useful to maybe dislocate the gap between aggression and assertiveness, especially from the context of sales. Because too often we as sellers go into a position imagining that someone's going to see us as the stereotypical salesperson. And
Yeah.
I think that looks aggressive. And so none of us want to be aggressive. And the consequence is that we run the risk of becoming professional visitors while not being assertive. And the real loss is that clarity comes from assertiveness. So why don't you give me your thoughts on what is the gap between assertiveness and aggression?
Yeah, I think a big component here is that our evaluation of our own level of assertiveness is really subjective,
Yeah.
and it's anchored in how we were raised and our perspective. Like, for example, I am by nature an assertive, probably even aggressive person. I don't see myself that way. And I will say things or do things that are off-putting to other people, and I'm feeling, I wonder why that bothered them. But anybody who doesn't have my level of assertiveness would feel, I can't believe you said that. I had a conversation with my wife not too long ago, and she said, "Why did you say that to so and so?" And I didn't even know what she was talking about. And I had no cognition about how what I said could have been taken in a different light. Yet my lack of objectivity makes me unable to really judge whether I'm being assertive or not. So I think really looking at it from the vantage point, not of our own perception, but of what is required in the situation that we find ourselves. I think the inverse is true. People who are not assertive think that, if they say something, I would never say fill in the blank. It's just too aggressive or too assertive. And to me, that may be really. I don't even see how that's aggressive at all.
Yeah, so a little bit of what I'm hearing from you is that oftentimes people have the opportunity to see it in other people and then don't give themselves permission to be assertive.
Yeah.
And then from your experience as someone who crosses the line frequently, then it's that you have to intentionally show up maybe differently in situations where you know you can't just default into how you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair. If we're thinking about what is the general salesperson experience, I would equate it similar to what happens when you're a participant at a play or a movie. And this isn't as much the case nowadays because I feel like each time I go to a movie, there's the bright screen in front of someone else near me that disrupts it. But the expectation is that as audience members, we're there to suspend our disbelief and watch something, and
Yeah.
that we're taking it seriously as we're going through it. And in a sales call, there is a suspension of disbelief that the person in front of me has my best interests in mind.
Yeah. That's a great
And
one.
And so it's the stereotype of a salesperson is something that each seller has to overcome. And the way that they think about overcoming it is by thinking, oh, I need to not be like. But if you've ever ridden a bicycle, the best way to avoid something is not to look at it and think, I need to avoid that, but it's to map out where's the correct place to go. Because the more that you stare at something in front of you, the more likely you're going to go directly towards it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. I have a flashback just you telling that story. My uncle taught me how to ride a bicycle.
Hmm.
And he's pushing me. I'm on a sidewalk and he lets go. He's running alongside me and he lets go. And about two houses down is a fire hydrant. And I couldn't look at anything but that fire hydrant, and guess what? I hit it.
Yeah,
And your point is exactly right. We will ascribe attributes to ourselves. I mean, you may have somebody who is generally a passive person, but they will think that they're being too assertive if they ask for help, if they interrupt a food server. I mean, it can be minor things, but this gray area between being truly assertive or aggressive, I think it's helpful to think in terms of what are the role models, if you will. And I think
yeah,
far too often we avoid being assertive because we don't want to be pushy. And the fact is, people need the boundaries that come with an assertive position. And it's really positioning a choice.
yeah. I think that the gap often is the nuance that it's allowed by the salesperson to be both assertive, which is comfortable in your assertions, and are also permissive for the
Yeah,
buyer to make the choice that they want to make. That I'm here helping you make a decision. I'm not here trying to get you to make a decision with me or anything else.
yeah,
9 times out of 10, most buyers are calling one person
yeah,
depending on what they're doing. And so you don't have to pressurize the experience, especially if you're cold prospecting. But I think one of the ways that I would look at it too is if you have a plan on how to be assertive, then being assertive is not a complicated move.
yeah,
You mentioned the like people think, "Oh, why did you say that?" And the reason that you didn't think that it was a problem is because conversations happen to some degree at lightning speed. Like, I
yeah,
don't know how much you live in your head, but oftentimes when you're listening to someone in an important situation, it's going 1,000 miles a minute.
yeah, yeah,
Your rate of processing, some of it is autopilot, some of it's scripts and responses, and a lot of it is just reaction and instinct. And so if it is instinct that leads us to get somewhere, let's take it to the analogy of sports. How do I become a professional? Well, I do the thing enough times so that when the stress is up, I can do it without thinking about it. You rarely see someone at the 3-point line like mentally thinking through what they're going to do, or at least it doesn't look like it
yeah,
because it's an
right.
autopilot
They're taking a
behavior.
shot.
Yeah, and so is it hard to be assertive without a plan? I think it's harder
Yeah.
because if you have to think, how do I say this in the right way? You're really just going to come up with all the wrong ways to say it.
Yeah, I think a good example of this in Sandler, we call it a clear future commitment.
Sure.
We don't want to, I don't want to end any call without a clear future commitment, which includes a scheduled meeting in the calendar with a mutually agreed on agenda that includes the outcome.
Yeah.
That's anything short of that is going to result in frustration, chasing, uh, frustration from the buyer as well. Yet having that commitment to make a clear future commitment mutually agreed on with the client, for most people who join Sandler, that's almost unthinkable. A
Yeah.
big part of their discipline is chasing, and they chase because of the fear of being too assertive.
And we always make the comment that the experience of an adult is just young children in older bodies. And so when you think about like, who do you know who's trying to date someone, especially in this day and age where instead of being connected by your community or social spheres, you're often in a like the virtual space where it's just a placard where you're trying to validate your worth to a third party. Like, one, it's hard to get that initial first contact. And two, once you have that first contact, it's hard to get a reality check on where you're going. So to the clear future commitment, the question is like in order to get there, we sort of have to have a frame of what are the boundaries or what are we trying to accomplish?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really where like being assertive is saying, you called me for a reason. I'm here for a reason, and I'm here to help you decide whether you want to or don't want to do the thing that you called me for.
Yeah.
It's completely fine if you don't. I just want you to realistically see what you're saying no to or what you're saying yes to so that you can stop beating yourself up because more often than not, the people that you talk to, they didn't call you out of the blue. They called you because they've been thinking about this for 3+ months.
Yeah.
They're ready to take action. Something's frustrating them that's triggering this moment in time. But it's rarely that people are reaching out to businesses just out of a educational or
Curiosity.
yeah. And when that happens, actually, I had someone do it recently. And when it happens, it's it's obligated by someone above. It's not a decision maker
Yeah.
reaching
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I think we need this sales training. Call these three numbers and then ask them questions. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
so that's not going to go anywhere, and it's
Yeah.
going to make the person on the second tier feel a lot worse.
Yeah, I think if you fall in that category of I don't want to I don't want to be off-putting and I don't want to pressure people or yeah um, that avoidance of being assertive. I think one of the things you can do to really help your position with your clients and in business development is to just make sure you're crystal clear on the details.
Yeah.
When do we meet? What are we going to talk about? We start the meeting with that. We end the meeting with what happens next. It's these little prompts and little probes that lead someone that can help us move from passive to assertive in a very healthy way. I serve my clients best when I provide direct leadership in helping them make decisions.
Yeah.
If I have that belief, then documenting and following through becomes part of what's a priority for me.
And if you know what you're going to do, it's a lot easier to do it than if you have to bring up your courage at the moment and then figure out what you're going to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's us with Sandler Training. And I guess as far as next steps go, we would suggest you reach out one way or the other. Let us know what's going on in your world and who you are. We appreciate your time. Good selling and good luck out there.